Hey everyone, welcome back to the Valencia Career Mode. It's Season 2, Episode 3. And before we get this episode started, we're going to go back and look at some of the games we've played so far. I think it's been a successful start to this season. We have 4 wins out of 5 in all competitions. We're still unbeaten, and we've done fairly well at establishing a good flow, and we've been dominant in many of the games. If you look at the first 3 games, against Eibar, which we won 5-0, against Oviedo, which we won 4-1, and the 3-2 win against Espanyol, I feel like they can be grouped into one category. If you look at some of the advanced stats here, you've got 60% possession in all 3 of those games. You've got above 90% passing accuracy. You've got a number of chances created, I think above 12 in each of these games, and a lot of expected goals. 7.6 against Eibar, you've got 6.4 against Oviedo, and slightly less in the most difficult game here against Espanyol, 5.5. So there was a lot of good chance creation. There was a lot of movement off the ball. And if you look at the possession heat map and the possession broken down into 15-minute intervals, there are some similarities that we can deduce from here. So first of all, when we start with the ball, I feel like we get into the flow better. We are able to get comfortable, establish a dominance, and that first half usually looks a little bit better. Now, for the most part, we don't relinquish possession. We keep it consistently. There are some dips here or there, obviously, but for the most part, we don't let the opponent get too much of the ball. So I love the consistency. And if you look at the heat map, in all 3 of these games, there's always somewhat of a ring around the opponent's net, and that really tells me that we're getting into that final third, we're suffocating the opponent, and then we're trying to break them down, playing it from side to side, switching play, and trying to find that opening. So I love to see that here against Eibar. It's very noticeable. In the Oviedo game, it's slightly less noticeable. We favored that left-hand side, but still there's a lot of possession in that final third. And against Espanyol, which was actually the most difficult game, it's also quite evident that there was that ring around the opponent's net, and there was the majority of possession being held in their half, quite a bit in their third. So this is all very encouraging. If you look at the chance creation in specific, it's also very good that we created a number of opportunities, first of all, as close as possible to their net, but also in that central area, not from out wide, not from those wingers cutting in and shooting. Against Eibar, most of it came from within that 16-yard box. Then you've got against Oviedo, the same story. And if you look at the Espanyol, there was a little bit more activity from that left-hand side, but still, for the most part, you've got those chances being created from central areas, which is very important because those are where you score most of your goals. It's the easiest. Now, I have to mention, Enrique Salinas in these games has just been immense. We've scored, 9 goals in the first 2 games against Oviedo and against Eibar, and he was involved in 8 of them directly. He got a hat-trick in the first game, throw in an assist, and then he got 2 goals and 2 assists in the next game. I mean, he's just ridiculous. So I have to mention how well Salinas played in those first games of the season. It really was something to behold. But then came the 2 games against Rayo Vallecano and the Europa League game against Nice. And they were quite different, but they were also very similar in the sense that it was a tactical battle. The opponent set up very well and did certain things that made us much more uncomfortable. And they were prepared a little bit better, I feel like, or played a little bit that was more suited to countering our style. And you can see by the stats that the possession dropped to about 52% in both games. Our expected goals, especially against Rayo Vallecano, dropped. We were lucky that we were able to finish our chances and get a result here. And the passing accuracy stayed the same, but there was some very interesting differences when it comes to the possession heat map and the possession in terms of the 15-minute interval. So first of all, we weren't as consistent. You can see we definitely gave the initiative away to Rayo Vallecano on several occasions. We were also not as dominant in our portions of possession. And if you look at the possession heat map, you don't have that ring around the net. There's a lot of possession in the middle of the park for us, and that indicated that there really was a midfield battle going on for us. If you look at the Nice game, this was, again, similar in the sense that we gave up initiative, and certain portions of the game it was Nice who was on the ball trying to make things happen, and we were uncomfortable. But looking at it also, this was a very specific game because they tried to press us high, and we had to combat that. That's why we were able to exploit the space a little bit more, and the possession heat map does indicate that we were closer to the net because they were leaving gaps, especially towards the end of the game when they were trying to get back. So you can see the differences when you are completely dominant, which is what we're aiming for. We want to have up to 70% possession consistently through the entire game. And there were games last season where we had 80. I think 85 was the highest per 15-minute interval, where we were just completely suffocating the opponent. That's what we're aiming for. But obviously, when you're playing teams like Real Madrid or Barcelona, or even just good teams like Nice, like, it's not realistically sustainable. But if we can at least have portions of dominance like this, I'm going to be really satisfied. But you can see that there is still some stuff to work on when we meet these harder opponents. When they start doing these things that are more uncomfortable for us, we're just not able to hit quite those same heights. So I wanted to illustrate that here in this statistical analysis. Okay, there isn't too many administrative things I want to show you in this episode, so we will be getting into the games here, but we're going to have a look at the league table first. After 4 games, we sit in 5th with 10 points, and we're still unbeaten, 15 goals, which is almost 4 goals per game, which is great. But we have played the minnows, and seeing how we lost 6 goals against minnows, that's not really filling me with confidence. Hopefully, if we can keep the firepower going offensively, we can keep up with the rest of the pack. But for now, it's good that we got the amount of points we did. Now on to our first game here against Athletic Bilbao, and this opponent last season gave us a really hard time. In fact, the last time we played against them, they had Inaki Williams, and they ripped us a new one. That was a really bad game. He terrorized us all over the place, and that was the game I admitted that I made a tactical error, and I really should have dropped the defensive line and not played as high up, because it was just asking for it, and we lost that game. But now they don't have Inaki Williams. Maybe it's a little bit of a different story. Still, it's going to be a very difficult game. They like to play on the front foot, fast build-up, forward runs. When they get the ball, they don't muck about. They attack you. From what I remember, most of their players are very aggressive, and they don't let you have the ball. That they won't press you like a Nice did in the last episode, but what they will do is they will let you go into their half, and then they will start attacking you from there, and it's very uncomfortable. It's not easy to play around. They set up in that 4-4-2, and I feel like those 2 strikers could cause us problems. Last season it happened, even this season against Oviedo, especially in that second half. You can tell when they do it right, that can be a real problem for our defense. They have that one striker getting in behind, the other one being a target man, and it can cause some problems. Morcillo on this left-hand side is free roaming, and I remember this left-hand player free roaming in the last season, and it was not pleasant. It's really hard to pick him up. He flows around in different areas. Definitely have to watch out for that. And obviously their fullbacks are bombing forward, so they do like to overload when they have the ball. Just some general stuff to note. But this game is going to be difficult for a completely different reason than it's just Athletic Bilbao. It's because there's not a lot of players with above 75 fitness right now, so according to my rule set, they can't start. And this is going to be a heavily rotated squad. I really didn't optimize this the way I should have. So as you can see, it's a completely second string unit here almost, with even Lato playing as the left winger, which is going to be an interesting experiment. Coindredi comes in at CM. You've got Moriba as Cam. Burlamaki is not even playing a CDM. He's playing that Wirman role. Vasquez is coming in at left back, Mosquera at CB. Like, it's a completely different squad. Nandez is out on the... We've got a right back and a left back playing left wing and right wing. So this is going to be interesting. Guerri's playing as striker, and honestly, I just want to see what happens here. I feel like we have to be a little bit more cautious and safe here so that we don't get blown out.
Ahí están los jugadores del Valencia que hoy juegan de visitantes. Y venga, Leones.
This was never going to be an easy game because we're playing second string guys against first string guys, and you can tell the comfort wasn't there, the passing, the crispness wasn't there, and Atletico made us pay early on. They got a great counter. Fofana gets it, puts it in the back of the net, and within the first 7 minutes, we're down 1-0. And I didn't feel comfortable this entire game, to be honest. Now we got lucky a few minutes later. We got a few lucky bounces here. Coindredi manages to get the ball back twice. Moriba gets it. He has a decent chance at a long shot and it falls right to Guiri and he puts it in the back of the net. Sometimes you need a little bit of luck. And I'm really thankful for that because it put the pressure a little bit off and we tried to play it really safe. That's why for the most part this was a cagey affair. There was a really bad defensive error here and Mamar had to bail us out. The second half opened up a little bit more, but unfortunately it was Atletico taking most of the initiative and their passing proved to be a little bit too much for us. Our defense just wasn't ready for this game. There was too many rotational pieces in the squad and we paid for it. They had a nice play here. They put it into the back of the net. It's 2-1. And it was difficult to play against. Defensively, I just couldn't keep up. Our guys couldn't keep up. But offensively, we were still creating decent opportunities. And Guiri, to be fair, had a really decent game here. Now, we move it around well. They defended well, and they got a number of block shots. But Guiri got on the end of this, and it's a save by the goalkeeper. But right off of this, the resulting corner falls to none other than the new signing, João Mario, and he gets his first goal. Now, that was a really big surprise for me. He's pretty short, but if you look at it, 76 heading accuracy, which is uncharacteristic for a guy to have that, and he puts to good use. And all of a sudden, I started to believe we can actually do something. A really good switch of play here, Fernandez, and a great all-in for Guiri. He just can't get to it, but I had a really good 15-minute spell there, and I thought I can get this win, but in the end, it proved that Atletico was just too much for us to handle, and their short passing and our just woeful defending just couldn't get it done. And they put it in for 3-2, and we lose this game, guys. Unfortunately, we just couldn't get it done. It's our first loss of the season, and it comes to Athletic Bilbao without Inaki Williams this time. But I'll take this loss with a grain of salt because it really is a rotated squad. I'm not going to draw too many conclusions about us playing a certain way when clearly most of the starting lineup just wasn't there. Okay, so we've got our second minor injury, a 5-day bruised elbow yet again, this time to Christian Mosquera. So that's 2 in a handful of games, not too bad so far. And we're going to move into our next game here against Getafe. Hopefully we can bounce back. Again, it's a fast build-up forward run system, but this time it's pressure on heavy touch. And the way they set up, again, it's 2 strikers, which poses the same sort of problems. But they set up in a 5-3-2, and it's very interesting because their fullbacks don't bomb forward, which they really should if they want to provide width in this system. So they're really reserved in the way they want to go about this. And if you look at the central midfielders, Alena is permanently set to stay back while attacking. And then your 2 central midfielders, Maximovic and Weigl, are support central midfielders. So they really want to make sure that they're solid first and foremost and then break when they can. So I feel like this might be a low-scoring game. We're back to our starting lineup here. No major changes. I'm favoring Beltran in this Guardiola role for now, and Boscagli has to step in at right back. There are some minor fitness issues here, as you can see, but for the most part, we are ready to go. So let's have it.
Que hay en Mestalla. Ahí va ese Getafe tan duro de roer en cualquier campo. Y ahora quiere.
We started this game off extremely well, and if you look at this play, there's got to be like at least 20-25 passes. Very good patient build-up, crisp passing. People are in their positions. We're trying to break them down, and we do an extremely good job here. I really wanted this to be an immediate response after that loss, and for the first 20-25 minutes, we were playing extremely well. The end product was just lacking. It was a great save by the goalkeeper, though, to be fair. But I was really encouraged by what we were seeing here, and Getafe was trying to be solid. I was expecting this. They weren't going too crazy, but we were still getting half chances, and they were slowly turning to 100% opportunities like this one. De Ketelaere should have just smashed that first time and it would have been a goal. But we did well. We recycled the ball. We didn't let them get that counterattack, and another good shot, another save by the goalkeeper. And to be fair, he was keeping them in this game. It probably should have been at least 1, if not 2-0 by the end of the first half, because even though they were blocking a number of shots, Another shot here was saved by the goalkeeper, and these are decent opportunities. On another day, can easily go in. But you can see Getafe, when they did get their chance, they had a clear game plan. Quick vertical passes in behind, and Silason has to be vigilant and make the saves. And it was constant. They got 2 or 3 of them, and it was very clear what they were trying to do. You got one pass here, then you've got a runner in behind. He crosses it in, and Silason has to make another save. The second half was more of the same, guys. In fact, the second half was just a siege of Getafe. They were blocking shots all over the place, and this is exactly their game plan. Quick movement, in behind, Silason has to make another one-on-one save. And it was just all throughout the second half, it was just me trying to break them down, and the amount of block shots that they have is just ridiculous. There's 2 shots already, then we recycle the ball, we get it back, we try to make another shot here, we're patient, we're trying to break them down, find a good opportunity here, we finally get one here, nope, it's another block shot, and it's the 90th minute, the end of the game is approaching, and we make a mistake, and they're right off to the races, guys. They are a little bit more patient than usual, but again, they move it around well. This time, find an open pass into the middle, and this time Silason is beat. And there you go. You lose 1-0 because you can't break them down, and because they take their opportunities when they can have them. It was predictable. I said it before the game. This was going to be this type of game where we're going to try to break them down. They're going to be solid first and foremost and take their chances when they can get them. And they got that one chance at the very end of the game, and it's 1-0, we lose. What a game that was. Okay, now it's 2 losses on the bounce, slightly worrying, and it's not going to get any easier. We've got Betis away. I remember this team from last season. Extremely aggressive, in-your-face play style. You've got press after possession loss. You've got 70 depth. And I can't tell you how oppressive this is when it works. And it's going to work because they're not going to half-ass their press with Zakaria in the midfield. He is extremely good, extremely aggressive. And on top of all this, they've got slow build-up possession football, which is very frustrating when done right. They have the quality on the ball to do this. And they play a 4-2-3-1, which I feel is a system much better suited for this style of play than some of the other teams that use different systems. Now, they've got that central striker, that target man who brings everyone else in, and then you've got the likes of William Carvalho going in behind. You've got wingers cutting inside, fullbacks bombing forward. They can create numerical overloads in different areas. They can suffocate you if they want to, and if you let them. So I feel like the key to this game will be to keep possession by beating that press and getting easier opportunities, slightly more on the counter than we're used to. Now, we're going to have one major change here. Salinas is unavailable because of his fitness levels, so we've got the Kettler stepping up as striker. He's done this in the past very well, and we've tested this out with Moriba as that cam in behind him. So that's going to be the major change here. Boscagli comes back at CB, but we're going to see how this goes.
Ahí están los jugadores del Valencia que hoy juegan de visitantes.
The first 5 minutes of the game can really be an indication of how that game is going to play out. And in this case against Betis, it really confirmed that it was going to be in your face. They're not going to let you breathe, and they're always on you. That press was relentless. And then the short passing possession style football was also quite evident. They get a really good chance here. A great defensive play stops the goal. And like I said, this game was going to be slightly more about the counter opportunities. Kanginli's off to the races. He gets into the box, and he puts it in, guys. 1-0 against Real Betis. A great start. And I'm loving Kangin Lee. His agility paired with his acceleration and a good finish makes him a potent addition to this team. But Betis was not going to lie still, and they had their chances of their own. Again, these forward runs were clearly showing in the tactics. Silason had to make a great save there. And off of the resulting corner, a bad defensive error for us. We get 2 drawn to that right-hand side. Zakaria ghosts in and gets a great volley. It's 1-1. I'm not too mad about the volley, but I am disappointed of how woeful we were defensively in that play. But we were trying to fight back, and there was good effort from us. This was a great chance. It released the Kettler. And this is a golden opportunity to make it 2-1, and it's just wide. We took the positive energy from late in that first half and applied it here, and this was a beautiful play, a pass from Wiedemann, and what a finish from the Kettler to make it 2-1. I mean, that was just sensational. And I was really happy, but unfortunately, Betis piled on the pressure immediately. They did not let me breathe, and they were right back on the front foot, guys. And to be honest, we were struggling for the next 20 minutes. Really couldn't get the ball, and it was pretty bad, I have to say. One of the worst spells I had, and Silason had to be on top of his game. Betis' short passing and possession football proved a little bit too much for me. Silason had to make a good save here, but eventually, I mean, things are going to break down. I was a little bit disappointed of how easily our defenders get drawn out of position. We lose a goal here, it's 2-2, but I'm just focused on the defensive woefulness and just errors happening, and I'm not sure why they're happening all of a sudden. In any case, we try to fight back, and the Kettler is Mr. Clutch. His finishing this game and his movement off the goal to get into these positions was outstanding, and he knocked them out, guys. This was the deciding goal. We end up winning 3-2, and it's a great result against Betis, and I just forgot how good the Kettler can be at striker because I was sort of overly focused on Salinas, but he is really Mr. Clutch for us and has been throughout this series. It's a great win in the end. It's really too bad that we can't play these same guys every game because the Kettler coming up clutch is something I wouldn't mind having every single game. But now we're facing Steaua Bucharest and we're going to have to rotate heavily. This is the game I chose to rotate because I wanted to focus more on the league. No disrespect to Steaua Bucharest, but I feel like we can get a decent result. Although it is an away game, we'll see how it goes. They have an interesting system because I haven't actually faced a long ball direct passing team in this career mode. Obviously, this on paper has the potential to be quite devastating against the sort of low numbers we have in defense. And if they play this correctly, it can be very dangerous. They do have a number of players getting in behind. And in general, it's a very offensive formation with two central midfielders and a central attacking midfielder in a 4-3-3. So I'm not going to disrespect them to the extent that, oh, it's just going to be a gimme here. But this is the game I chose to rotate. As you can see, you've got Marcus Antonio coming in on the left, you've got Coindredi playing, you've got Burla Maki playing, you've got Lato and Mosquera at the back. So we're going to have to see what we can conjure up here, but I feel like they still don't have the quality to really contend with us. Hopefully we can get a good result here. Okay, so this is Steaua Bucharest for you. This is them offensively. Direct long balls, maybe not long balls, but certainly direct passing. Mamar has to make a good save there. And this is them defensively. That is a low block if I've ever seen one. You can't be a lower block without actually being a goalkeeper. And there was like 9 players in the box right there. And this is a nightmare to break down. This is actually one of the better opportunities. Salinas slips a ball in, and Guiri really should have had a better shot. That was a tame effort. And we had one more opportunity in the first half here, mainly Salinas, and he was able to muscle some people off the ball and get a half chance. Nothing too great. We tried to play slightly differently in the second half, and what I mean is longer balls like this to get a little bit more space. Again, Salinas was central to everything. He was getting a lot of opportunities, but for the most part, this second half was a trade of blows. It was constantly back and forth. And Steaua Bucharest was getting more comfortable in how they were creating their opportunities. Again, Mamara has to make a good save, and then we're back at it. And this time, Salinas gets a nice cutback, and he was lacking this game. Usually, he would have put something away. He got a really good opportunity here. It's saved by the goalkeeper. And unfortunately, the rebound was also saved by the goalkeeper. And then it's back to Steaua. And again, look at this. It's quick play. That linchpin gets the ball out to the wing. They get it back into the center. Mamardashvili has to make a save. And then it was a calamitous error. Burlamaki gives the ball away. It's one pass into the box. He slides it in the 5-hole of Mamardashvili, and we're down 1-0 to Steaua Bucharest. And this hurts because they're playing that style of play where you have all this ball possession and you're really excited, and all of a sudden you're down 2-0 like this and you just lose the game. And it's frustrating because they don't even want the ball, and sometimes you can call it anti-football, and when you're the one with the ball possession, you're like, oh, look at how much ball we have. It can get frustrating. It can, and it was. And I am not happy with this result, guys. We underestimated them, yes, but we also couldn't break this team down, and that is not good enough. It's okay, it's okay. It's just Steaua Bucharest. We can get the result. No problem, no problem. Mi amici, it's no problem. And then you go lose 2-0. This is what you get for complacency, guys. Even just a little bit of it. Fair play to Steaua Bucharest, but I just want to forget about that game right now. We're going to move into the last game of the episode against Levante here. It's a derby game, so as is my tradition, I'm not going to do a formal tactical analysis, but I will say after 3 losses in the last 4 games, my players better show up and win this game. They better be focused and on top of their game. You're going to have flashbacks to the first season with Vega playing striker, Vas at right wing, and Nandez at right back. Let's go out and get this win, guys. Let's end off on a positive note here.
Que alguien Mestalla. Por ahí aparecen ya los visitantes de hoy, el Levante.
Okay, we got off to a pretty rocky start here. Nervous times. Boscagli brings the Levante player down, and I mean, like, honestly, we got away with it there because that's a penalty. No two ways about it. That's 100% penalty. And then they had this chance saved from Silason, and honestly, for the first 25 minutes, I couldn't get anything going. Just basically nothing. And then this happened. It was a really good opportunity. Soler slips in the Ketlar and he smashes it in, guys. Mr. Clutch. He always appears in the biggest moments. Last season, it was always goals against Real Madrid, Sevilla. And now when we need to really bounce back and win a derby game, he's there again. But Levante wasn't going to just take it, and they had a really good opportunity here. This shot was tipped onto the post, and then this was in. The Levante player had it, and Gaia makes an incredible defensive play. And that spurred us on to have one last late chance in this first half, guys. And it was some great little tiki-taka football. And we had a number of passes that resulted in a great chance again for the Ketlar, but he can't put it away. Nothing really happened in the second half. I think I was subconsciously just trying to get a good result here, and we didn't have much action until Salinas came on, and he got a great pass here, and he smashes it in for 2-0, guys. I am so used to him putting it into the back of the net, and I am loving what I'm seeing. He brought in the energy late on in this game to get an extra goal in a derby game, his first in a derby game. And I mean, the manager is loving it. Everything is good and fine. We're ending this episode off really well. Levante put a scare at the very end, to be fair, but Boscagli played the situation perfectly. He didn't overcommit. He got the interception, and that was really great. And then late on in the very last chance, Silason makes a great save here, a nice reflex one, and we win this game 2-0, guys. We go back to winning ways, and that is very encouraging. After a number of very disappointing results, especially that Steaua Bucharest game. I just wanted to say thank you so much for everyone who supports me on Patreon. For now, to LaShawn and Tristan. If anyone wants to support my content, especially my rule set, you can do it there. But in general, if you like my content, leave a like, subscribe, and I will see you next time, guys. Laters!